Day 13. October 2007, a group of 9 people entered the Nam Talu cave located within the borders of Khao Sok National Park in Thailand. The group consisted of 6 tourists and 2 Thai guides. 4 of the tourists were Swiss citizens. There was also a 10-year-old boy from Germany and a young girl from England in the group. Nam Talu Cave was a cave through which a shallow stream flowed, and guided tours were organized there during the dry season. However, this visit took place during Thailand's rainy season. The group entered the cave in the afternoon. At the entrance point, the weather conditions were stable. There had been no rainfall around the cave that morning, and the external conditions were known to be safe. However, the region where the cave was located was connected to a complex underground drainage system. The basin that supplied water to the cave was located kilometers upstream from the cave entrance. For this reason, the cave could be directly affected by rainfall in higher regions. While the group was inside the cave, heavy rainfall occurred in the upper sections of the mountain. As the group progressed deeper into the cave, they followed a narrow stream passage. The guides noticed that the water level was slowly rising. Despite this, the group continued forward. No decision was made to turn back. A short time later, a flash flood coming from the upper basin reached the cave system. Water began to rush in rapidly through the narrow tunnels. The water level rose quickly within minutes. Some passages became completely filled with water. Panic ensued. One of the guides tried to direct the group to a higher point. Some people managed to reach safer and higher areas inside the cave. However, others were caught by the strong current. Due to the narrow structure of the cave, there was not enough space to escape. In some sections, the water left no air pocket. Of the 9 people who entered the cave, 8 died by drowning. The only survivor was the young girl from England. She managed to climb onto a narrow rock ledge that remained above the water. She waited inside the cave for approximately 16 hours until she was found by rescue teams. The bodies of all the other tourists and the 2 Thai guides were recovered. Among those who lost their lives was the 10-year-old child from Germany. The incident caused a major reaction across Thailand. Authorities temporarily closed Nam Talu cave. Later, a permanent decision was made to close the cave to visitors every year between June and November. It was stated that this period carried a risk of flash flooding. Warning signs were placed at the cave entrance, and local tour companies were instructed not to organize tours during these months. For approximately 10 years, this ban was largely enforced. However, inspections weakened over time. Some tour operators continued to take tourists into the cave during banned periods if surface weather conditions appeared good. In many cases, the risk of rainfall in the upper basin was ignored. On the 6th of August 2024, despite Namtalu Cave being officially closed, a new group was taken inside. The group consisted of 22 tourists and 2 Thai guides. It had rained in the region the previous night. However, the weather was clear that morning. The group entered the cave in the afternoon. At approximately 1700, as the group was trying to exit the cave, a sudden flash flood occurred. Water coming from the upper regions reached the cave system and flowed rapidly through the narrow tunnels. The strong current trapped the group inside the cave. Thai rescue teams were quickly dispatched to the area. All tourists and one of the guides were rescued. However, the second guide, a 37-year-old man, was swept away by the current while trying to help the others exit. His body was found a few hours later. On the 13th of February 1965, 3 cavers who were members of the Boston Grotto Club arrived in the town of Doldeville in New York State. Their aim was to explore Schroeder's Pants Cave, located at the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains. The group consisted of 23-year-old chemist James Mitchell, nurse Heidi Miller, and Harvard University graduate student Charles Bennett. On 27th August 1952, during the exit from the cave, Lubens was being hauled upward using a winch system attached to a vertical shaft. However, near the final section of the ascent, the steel cable snapped. Lubins fell approximately 40 meters and struck the rocky ground. He survived the fall but suffered a broken spine. He soon lost consciousness and fell into a coma. At that time, he was approximately 384 meters below the surface. Throughout that week, air temperatures had hovered around the freezing point. This caused an increase in surface water. Ice cold water was flowing through the cave. Despite this, the trio entered the cave. They passed through the narrow sections known as Lemon Squeeze, Z Bend, and Gun Barrel. They then reached a vertical shaft approximately 24 meters deep. A large volume of cold water was flowing through the shaft. James Mitchell made the first descent. He began lowering himself while secured to a safety rope. Halfway down, he became stuck. He could neither descend nor ascend. The water flowing through the shaft was hitting him directly on the head. According to rescue reports, approximately 38 liters of ice cold water per minute were falling onto Mitchell. Cold and exhaustion quickly took their toll. Mitchell's voice grew weaker and then stopped completely. Bennett and Miller tried to pull him up. They struggled with the rope for approximately 45 minutes but were unsuccessful. Realizing the situation was out of control, Bennett exited the cave to call for help. The Washington, D.C. based National Capital Cave Rescue Team was dispatched to the area. The rescue operation received wide coverage in the national press. When the rescue team reached the shaft, it was determined that Mitchell had died. Attempts were made to widen some sections of the cave to remove his body. During the 3-day effort, part of the shaft collapsed. Soil and rock debris filled the cave. It was decided that continuing was not safe. With Mitchell's body suspended in a safety harness, the cave was completely sealed. The main entrance was closed with explosives and a memorial stone was placed at the site. In August 1952, an international exploration team descended into the Pierre Saint Martin cave system located in the Pyrenees. At the time, it was the deepest known cave in the world. Among the team was 33-year-old French engineer and experienced cover Marcel Lubens. The expedition was led by Belgian professor Georges Cousins. The team remained underground for approximately 6 days. Rope ladders were installed, new passages were explored, and deep shafts were mapped. On 27th August 1952, during the exit from the cave, Lubens was being hauled upward using a winch system attached to a vertical shaft. However, near the final section of the ascent, the steel cable snapped. Lubens fell approximately 40 meters and struck the rocky ground. He survived the fall but suffered a broken spine. He soon lost consciousness and fell into a coma. At that time, he was approximately 384 meters below the surface. A rescue operation was launched. Team members and a doctor descended into the cave. Lubin's condition was assessed in the dark and cold environment. A blood transfusion was performed inside the cave. Rescue teams attempted to pull Lubins upward using a manual winch for 2 days. However, rocks inside the shaft began to loosen. Falling debris endangered the rescue team as well. On the evening of August 29th, after approximately 36 hours of effort, Marcel Lubens died underground. On the 6th of February 2014, five experienced Finnish cave divers entered the Plørdalen cave system in northern Norway. This system was known as one of the most dangerous underwater caves in Europe. Their goal was to pass through a submerged passage approximately 130 meters deep and reach a dry cave chamber on the other side of the mountain. Each diver was using a closed circuit rebreather system. The first part of the dive proceeded without problems. The group advanced by following a fixed guideline. However, at approximately 110 meters depth, a diver named Hari became stuck in a narrow restriction. He could neither move forward nor backward. His breathing system began to malfunction. Another diver named Patrick came to help him. but also struggled in the narrow passage. As visibility dropped, silt rising from the cave floor completely blocked vision. Chari's breathing accelerated and his mouthpiece came loose. Patrick tried to attach a backup breathing device but was unsuccessful. After a while, he was forced to retreat. When the team reached the surface, they realized that two divers were missing. Norwegian police closed the cave and announced that the bodies could not be recovered. Few weeks later, friends of the deceased divers secretly devised a new recovery plan. After approximately 100 hours of work, they re entered the cave. Jari's body was still found wedged in the narrow passage. Farther ahead, it was confirmed that a second diver named Guy had also died. The bodies were carefully recovered and removed from the system. This operation was documented in the 2016 documentary Into the Unknown.